Ist das wieder Italien?
Merkst du, wie es wärmer wird, nur weil du aufs Bild guckst?
Stimmt. Hab die Heizung hochgedreht, war arschkalt.
Hello everyone and welcome to a new episode of Hobo, a wandering podcast about cinema, and we are here at the 73rd Berlin International Film Festival, and we are very happy to introduce to you Sonja Heiss and to talk with her about her new film, When Will It Be Again Like It Never Was Before, a remarkable opener for this year's Berlinale Generation K+ section. With your previous film, you always tackling serious subjects with an unerring grasp of comedy, and it happened with your movie Heidi Schneider is Stuck, and dealing with themes like mental illness, psychological disorder, and of course it happened in his new film, which is based on the Joachim Meyerhoff novel about a childhood as the son of the director of adolescent psychiatric clinic. So let me start this conversation just with a more general question, just to break the ice. What resonated with you about the book, thematically, but also in terms of storytelling?
What I really loved about the book was the humor. It's a very dry humor, and it's very similar to the humor that I have when I write stuff myself. And that the humor is always kind of based on the difficulty and tragedy of life. So the humor is not flat, it's a deep kind of humor. And the other thing was I thought it's super interesting to show this world, the psychiatric clinic in the 70s and 80s, where a boy grows up and where there is not normal or not normal. It's not that his family is more normal than the patients are.
Yeah.
So this is a very important question, I think.
And have you found out some similarities between his kind of storytelling and yours as a filmmaker, but also as a novelist, as an author?
The tone, the tone is similar. We have different kinds of storytelling. His novel is more anecdotic.
Yeah.
So it was pretty hard to adapt. So it took me like 2 years to write the script.
All right.
Because we could change a lot of things. He gave us freedom, but not that many because it's autobiographical.
Yeah.
So you cannot, change like really important points of this biography.
Yeah, and we already took a long time to convince Meyerhoff to make a movie about from his novel.
Yeah, I think many people asked him also before, and he didn't want to do it, and then kind of changed his mind at a certain point. And my producer, Janine Nyakowski, she kind of stalked him, we always said. She would call him again and write him. And it was less like we didn't persuade him or something. He had to want it, because if you don't want your autobiography it's not a real autobiography. It's also, his book has fantasy, I'm sure, because no one would remember everything perfectly he experienced when he was 7. But which is the beginning of the movie. Yeah. But it was more like, I think what convinced him was the production company Komplizen Film with Toni Erdmann and all the movies, and also the films I did before.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Because I think the tone of our films and his books are...
It's like a comedy but rooted in drama. So,
yeah,
all right.
This first segment of the film is the most chaotic one and edited rapidly by Julia Karg and introduce us to the family and the boy through a series of different situations. Then, following the story moving to 1983, the tone becomes more sober and the proceedings are shown in longer set pieces. Can you tell us how you worked on the pace of the film and how you tried to change it according to the story?
So I had the book, the novel, and it was clear that the little Joachim character, he's more passive, he's more observing. So it was clear it's good to introduce certain things and like show certain conflicts, or like not show them, like you could feel them already, but that this would be the shorter part, a very funny part, an introduction into this world, but the real emotions, they come later. And also what I didn't want to have is like a narration that is knowing always more than the main character. So we had to find out about the problems of the marriage and everything about his parents and so on with him, and not know more than him.
And the film features actors and non-professional actors with and without psychiatric disorders. And of course, often people with disabilities are actually always portrayed in a standard way, in the same way in movies, a simplistic way. But of course, they are as different as everyone else. So I can imagine creating an inclusive and diverse cast was a very important thing for you for this film. So how did you work on that?
Yeah, it was very important to me, and it was today I got an email from a mother of an actor with disabilities, and I almost cried because she told me she's so happy about it because finally people with disabilities aren't portrayed as a stereotype, and it's more like it is in reality and with a lot of love and everything. So what we did, it was a very long casting process involving a lot of people that helped us, and we went into communities where they live together, people with disabilities live together, or like certain places where they make theater and so on. So it was a long casting process. Then I was there casting also, and then I also had to find kind of a technique how to work with them.
Yeah.
Because, for example, for many people with disabilities, it's a bit hard to memorize text. They can, but then they're very concentrated on it. So how to deal with that? But on the other hand, I didn't want to improvise because the whole film is not improvised, and I don't like it when you have a film that is, made in different ways. Then I always think like this is improvised and this is not improvised, so I lose it. I'm not into the story. So what we did, we helped them with the text. They had a button in the ear and someone telling the text.
Working on the adaptation of the book for the cinema after means even painfully cut some parts of the story because maybe it appears coherent on text but foreign bodies on the screen. Has this happened to you in this case?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, as I told, it's very anecdotic, the book, but it has its own dramaturgy, which is brilliant, but it's more an intellectual one. It's more hold together with the inner voice. So, of course, I had to find a very different way of narration, and there's exciting scenes in that book that just didn't make any sense in this movie because they didn't help with the story. There were other scenes that were also like not not part of the story, but I made them part of the story. So, like, for example, when the parents have the sailing exam, it's a funny scene where the father fails in a sailing exam, and I used it for showing on which stage the marriage is.
During the research you made for this film, did you visit psychiatric hospitals and talk to doctors about their job? And if so, what did you discover during this phase that maybe helped you for the movie?
Yeah, I went a lot to psychiatric hospitals and spent time there in very different parts of very heavy ones where people in severe conditions are, and but also when they had the talks with the doctors, I was allowed to participate sometimes. I had great help from psychiatrists, and it was very important for me because I was kind of scared how to show this clinic and also work with the extras.
Yeah.
So it was very important to observe a lot, to show it in a way that is convincing and still believable. But we also had a consultant, a psychologist, who was at the set on top. And what was also interesting is that the psychiatrists, they all had like the same idea as the father in the film. it was like once I would ask them because it was a very heavy department of the clinic, and after some hours I was really like, "Ooh, this is a tough place here," because people would feel really bad there, you know, and then I said to them, "But how can you deal with that?" And they said, like, "I love my job and I love the human brain. Isn't it super interesting what the human brain does?"
Yeah. And maybe perhaps you made also some research on Meyerhoff specifically to discover maybe something more that wasn't in the book.
Yeah. I asked Joachim a lot, and we tried to find out more, and we had talks with people who worked there. So when he was a child, he of course observed different things than the others, but it was very important for me to create film characters. I didn't want to, you know, show what really happened.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. That makes sense.
And how did you put together David Strisov and Laura Tonke since they have never been together on screen as a couple?
I just did castings, and then I did like combination castings, like actresses and actors together to find the perfect couple. And yeah, I was sure that David is great and that Laura is great, and then I was really scared they wouldn't match. But also the Meyerhoffs, you know, weren't the perfect couple, so this was kind of helpful. I mean, they're a totally credible couple, that for sure, but I didn't have to find a, you know, a romantic couple where, you know, the stars are exploding when they look at each other.
And the film also features several famous pop songs like "This Is the Day" and "T-Rex Cosmic Dancer," which emotionally bookend the film. How did you work on that aspect of the movie?
Yeah, I'm a big music lover, and I have a music consultant the same for many years, Martin Hosbach, and I think I listened to thousands of songs. But it was clear that it needed some hits also, but not, you know, the ones you cannot listen to anymore, you know. And sometimes it was really hard to find exactly the right song, and there was only one, only one in the world you could use. For example, Cosmic Dancer. There was no alternative. So sometimes it was really like, please, 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 I really hope we can afford that song. But and then there's orchestra maneuvers of the Darks, OMD, and so on. This is 80s music, which is great, but it's not the kind of 80s music you would listen again and again and again in the radio, and you're already fed up. So it was important to know.
And a question about the slate of the festival where this film is premiering in Generation K+, which is the section dedicated to younger audience. Have you worked on this film having younger audience in mind? And anyway, how do you think this kind of movie, or how do you hope this kind of movie can resonate with them?
I never had younger audience in mind, to be honest. Not at all, because the readers of the novels of Joachim Meyerhoff aren't young either. And it's a very deep story about a family, so I thought like you need a certain kind of intellectual level you reach only at a certain age. But now we showed it to young people here at the festival, and they really liked it. I mean, I don't know if you know, Warner has target groups, and they are not in the target group, so I don't know. They always do research and tests and so on. But at the screenings here, when we had young audience, they loved it. But still, I think there's more adult people who love it.
Yeah, as an author yourself, as a novelist yourself, it has been helpful to talk with Joachim Meyerhoff about during the writing phase.
Yeah, it was very important that he reads some drafts and that he feels comfortable with it, and that he can criticize and say, and also say when he doesn't like something, because we changed his autobiography. We changed the biography of his family and of real events. So he had to feel good with it. So we had an exchange there, but he didn't want to participate writing the script or something.
All right. So thank you so much, Sonja, for your time.
Thank you.
We're very happy that you were
Thank
with
you.
us.
Grazie.
So see you on the next episodes of Hobo, and from the 73rd International Berlin Film Festival is all. So goodbye.
Bye.
We pray each day, may you come home and be okay. For now, we wait for you to come home.
Ist das wieder Italien?
Merkst du, wie es wärmer wird, nur weil du aufs Bild guckst?
Stimmt. Hab die Heizung hochgedreht, war arschkalt.